Welcome to this week's broadcast of the Esports Tower Rumble in Valorant. We're broadcasting it from the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. And welcome to the Valorant Rumble. Tonight in a special all-grand finals show to wrap up the Week 2 Rumble of the winter season, the Drought are looking for the back-to-back Rumble titles, while the Flood are looking to knock off the Drought. Who will win our Week 2 Rumble Grand Finals? I am your host, Brandon Red Hots Koziansik, and joining me to call all the action today is Colby D'Angelo Alloway. And I do want to say, Colby, what do you think of these teams kind of stacked up against each other, and what do you think their strengths and weaknesses are?
So first of all, I'm super excited for the match tonight because both of these teams have had a ton of personal, individual, and team growth. They are completely different teams than what we've seen in the past from both of them, both the Droughts and the Floods. The Droughts have gotten so much better at general team cohesion and working together. It's phenomenal to witness. And the Floods have gotten much more consistent with their attacks as well as their defense, because they used to be such a defensively heavy team that we're like wondering where all that skill went on attack, and now they have the consistency to do both. So tonight's going to be an amazing matchup.
Absolutely, and you know, to get right into it, we can get to the Doc's keys of the game, which is in Valorant: flank efficiently, speed and peak, spend and peak wisely, diminish their econ and loot, and dominate angles. This is brought to you by Esports Tower, which is scroll advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your team play, improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. That's Esports Tower. And I think, you know, starting off the day, the Flood and the Droughts are going to be playing on Split, I believe, which is the first map. And this has been a map that traditionally in the week past we actually haven't seen that much, but just this week alone we've seen, I think, 2 Split maps, which is a really interesting map because Split is a map where it's one of the maps that started in Valorant, right? In beta, Split was out. They've changed it here and there. A lot of teams have not liked it or disliked it, and overall a great map. And you can see here in the bracket that the Drought overall they had a bye in the first round, but they had eruptions and they kind of dominated the eruptions there. It was overall kind of a good match back and forth, but at the end of the day, Drought kind of ended up going, you know, forward to the end there. And then the Floods took on the Infernos, which is another great match on Split, which both these were played on. So both teams have kind of warmed up on the map Split overall, and I'm really excited to see them today.
And both teams, more importantly than that, have changed so much from the beginning of this competition and have done a lot. And Split is kind of a weird map, and we've been seeing a lot more of it recently, but even with Split, there are some things that you can always expect to come out. You can usually expect a Jet to come out because of all of her mobility, all of the things she brings, the ability of Jet Knives to just completely full wipe a team. But what other agents are we expecting to come out tonight? I
think one thing we've seen is Sage a lot on this map. Sage's wall is more so just that mid kind of angle. It kind of stops them. I mean, everyone knows it's expected at this point that you put a Sage wall mid in it. I think more than anything, it just kind of slows them down more than anything. But one pick that we've seen in the past that I always love in this map is Raze. We always love seeing her grenades, her showstopper, her big ult that can always kind of clear angles. Teams kind of have picked it, but I haven't seen too much of a, I would say, impact comparatively to the Jet that we've seen this map. So I'd love to see some more Raze stay and aggression in terms of those teams.
And aggression is definitely something that both of these teams are looking for, especially on this map, and especially because they've both been working on team cohesion. And the best way to be aggressive is to be aggressive together.
Yep, and you know, this is gonna be our kickoff to the Week 2 Grand Finals on, you know, a map that we've been saying has been really popular this week. So we're going back to Split again, and due to some roster changes, Ellie, who is usually on the Floods, is actually playing for the Droughts this week against her normal teammates. For the Floods, this is the final Rumble for Tabernakis before he graduates from Esports Tower, and ending with a win would be a great send-off. So let's get in the game and, you know, see what strikes first. And like I said, we're going to see the Boof, which is traditionally a very, very aggressive player. I really enjoy Boof's play style. He always kind of just goes forward without even thinking twice, even if he's on or off. So I love seeing Boof, and especially on that Raze, to kind of enable him to do so.
And what is it about Boof's playstyle that lets Raze work so well?
I think it's because Raze is an agent that has a lot of, like, I guess, agency for being aggressive. She has her satchel packs, which allow her to give such big movement speed and big bursts of speed. So you're going to essentially get like 2 jet dashes with her packs, but it really is kind of a hard thing to pull off, and it's just a really fun agent to kind of see jumping all over the place.
And we have that Viper, who's usually a mainstay just because of the utility that agent brings to the table. We see that on the defending side over there. So that will surely make things at least a little bit harder for the attacking side just because of the utility that they bring to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to see Pryor playing that Cypher, which we kind of seen this map. Usually they play B site with this camera. They can kind of hold that down. It makes it a lot easier for them to not worry about that at all. And then we're going to see, a lot of variety actually today. We're both going to see the Astras, which traditionally has been, the controller of choice. She has so much, like freedom in terms of her smokes and concusses, and she's really good and competitive because, together we saw last week, which was a Killjoy Molly and a Astra kind of like, suck in ability. They were in sync and did a lot of damage there. So overall, kind of glad to see, both teams going with their comforts. We're going to see the Floods opting to go another no Sage, which they kind of felt comfortable, and they rotated a lot of different agents to kind of bring their advantages in different times.
And we see that Astra going into the Astra form there to just kind of look around and see what we're doing here. Something that we're not seeing is a Jet, which is a little bit shocking just because of the value that they can typically get on this map, but I fully expect other agents to more than make up for that in terms of raw damage and elimination potential.
Yeah, it seems like Floods are kind of opting with that KO to kind of bring a lot of the aggression for them, so I'm interested to see how they kind of use that because they're a pretty defensive team in terms of agent composition here.
Some of the Viper smokes have already gone down as both teams are looking for each other here. Pryor's going to get that elimination onto Cruz, and that's first blood. Yeah,
it was a great job by Cruz, and they're going to go on Heaven here, and Devin gets 2 right there.
Spike down mid.
Cozy's going to get 2 down as well, and kind of holding this down. We're at 2v3. Oh, Cozy the 3K.
And now we are 3-1 with the Floods up 2 against the solo member of the Drought. And at this point, you just got to see what they can do. And Ellie is not going to be able to do a ton against the 3 remaining members of the Flood. And that first round is going to go over to the Floods. They're putting us at 1-0.
Absolutely, and I think pistol round's always kind of a big round. I mean, sometimes you see teams go back and forth on, but I think pistol round can give you that overall momentum builder because now we're going to see here Floods are going to buy up in terms of they're going to get their Ares and Spectres, while the Drought are actually going to be full classics. So there should be full saving for next round for those Vandals and Phantoms.
And because they had so many people survive that first round, they had 3 going out of that, the econ is definitely in their favor there as we go into these next couple of rounds.
Absolutely. We're going to see kind of this hold in Heaven here by Viper. Since they don't have a Sage, they're kind of just going to have to hold these different angles that are beneficial to them while Pryor just kind of holds it down with this camera. Ooh, and a great smoke kill there.
Some of the smokes have already gone down, but Boof is not safe in the smokes. Cruz is also going to go down to Pryor there, leaving the Floods 5 to the Drought's 3. So it definitely looks like the advantage is in the Floods' favor here, as the 3 remaining members for the Drought have to decide what they want to do here against an outnumbered team.
Absolutely, and it's really hard for the Drought to kind of deal with this Viper in Heaven because she has that one-way smoke that gives her a huge advantage here, but they do a good job of kind of trying to smoke that out as well.
They do a good job of trying to just kind of spray into the smoke and see what they can find, but then also watching their angles peak. And Tabernakis is going to try the 3v1 here, and things are actually going pretty well, as Femboy is going to go ahead and pick up 2 eliminations there, and that's just a solo member of the Drought against 5 members of the Floods.
And Pebble is actually, Pebble's Astra is something that this team knows that they can rely on, because we've seen Pebble basically play Astra almost every game now, and they do a great job of using their utility and overall just helping the team out.
Because that is an agent that only gets benefit if you are able to communicate and work with your team there, and obviously Pebble can, as they just got that flawless round, and so now things are definitely in their favor here as we go 2 to the Drought's nothing.
Yep, and now we're going to see Drought kind of have this advantage here. We're going to see them having the Vandals and Phantoms comparatively to the Ares and Spectres. So we're going to see how this kind of ends up for them. We have seen these rounds actually go pretty close in the past this week, whereas traditionally you kind of see them, one way or the other.
And that's exactly what you're expecting when you're in the grand finals over here with the Floods versus the Drought. Both teams that have a lot to prove and have done a lot of improvement over the past Rumble.
Yeah, hard agree with that one. And I love to see these teams just improve each week in this esports, Valorant, Rumble, and it just shows a lot of growth and makes the competition even better each week.
And if they improve this much in a single Rumble, imagine what they can do in the Rumbles next to after this as we go, and both teams are kind of looking for each other, watching their sight lines, and nobody really wants to peek first just yet.
Ooh, and
Boof and Ellie are going to go ahead and go down, and the Floods look like they're up to this round. That's usually when the Valorant teams smell the blood in the water and start getting aggressive here. As the Floods 5 to the Drought 3.
Ooh, and another just impact the wall kill there for Rafa. These Ares are just really strong here. And Drought had a full buy, so they had Vandals and Phantoms. They actually have a gun advantage this round, but Floods are just doing a great job of holding this, and they're known as a defensive team for a reason.
And this is exactly what they're comfortable at doing. This is exactly what we expected from them. We'll see the benefits of their working when they switch over to attack here. Still in the 2-0, the Droughts are down 3 members to Floods 5. Oh, mate, they're still down 3 members here, but the Floods have managed to lose one.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, Cruz has to do something, try to do something there because of time constrictions, but obviously at the very end doesn't get it through. And Floods is a big round for Floods because not only do they have 3 alive at the end of the round, so they get 3 Vandals or Phantoms, they only have to buy 2 more and Drought to do a full save this round to get their eco back for the next round.
And also with that 3-0 lead there, the econ is really starting to like snowball in the Floods' favor here. If the Drought don't start winning some rounds soon, it might become insurmountable for them.
And the funny thing enough is actually this has been the common theme of Split this week. So the last 2 matches that we had in the semis, both matches actually kind of started like this and then ended up swaying the other way. So, you know, Split's kind of a map, I think, that can sway each way in terms of momentum. So I think Drought's kind of thinking about just getting that one little advantage to get them something going.
Viper in the Astra spill. Dog's going to come down. That's a bloodbath over there with 2 members for the sides of the Flood going down, but only 1 for the side of the Drought. Make that 3 Floods, 2 members in, Drought 4 members in. Floods are down 2 here, so this might be the round where things swap into favor here. As Pryor's going to go ahead and get that elimination onto Ellie, then Cozy's going to get eliminated, and the Floods are going to be clean wiped with 3 members still living on the side of the Drought. This is the comeback here. Putting it with the Floods at 3 and the Drought at 1, trying to even up this score here.
Yeah, it was honestly kind of, I guess, the caster's curse right there. I was talking about just how, you know, last week and how these things kind of happen, you know, even after 3-0, there's really no way that Drought should be able to kind of win that round, but they just, you know, said, hey, we got nothing else to lose here, we're full eco, and we just pushed through, and they won the round. And now it's a huge kind of swing for them, and they had a lot of members, too, so their eco is basically kind of coming back at this point.
And that's exactly what they were looking for. If you go more than 4 rounds ahead, the eco is really like starts to become more and more exponentially insurmountable. And so you really want to stop that before it gets to the 5-round, 6-round, 7-round lead as we go into this. And the Droughts did exactly that. So if you're a Droughts fan, things are going great.
Absolutely. And I think now it's going to be the biggest round where they're both having equal guns in terms of Vandals and Phantoms here. And we're going to start seeing a lot of utility with ults kind of coming on the line soon enough. So hopefully Drought's going to get something going, and Devin wants to get a pick right off the bat to get something going.
And that's exactly what you're looking for if you're a Drought fan, trying to close this gap, especially that next elimination onto Pryor by Boof, who we were talking about the aggression of. We're starting to see some of that value on that agent there. As the Floods are down 2 to the Drought, still full 5 members.
And we're going to see the Dissipate come from Astra from the Droughts here onto A site. It looks like they're going to kind of split that A site down so you can't really see from heaven or screens.
Both teams still trying to find each other and do so together. It looks like Cozy's managed to find somebody.
Does find Cruz, and that's a great double peek by the side of Floods to kind of get something going there. Oh, they do see Ellie behind, and Ellie does get one.
That's right. Gets both of them there, and then Boof is going to go ahead and go down, and now we have the 1v3 with the Flood single Astra seeing what they can do, and they are unable to do anything there. Pebble on the Astra, very, very good, but not quite that good to pull out the 3v1, and honestly, that's an unfair thing to expect. Yep. Even making things much more even than they were before.
Yeah.
Flood still winning with 3, but the Droughts are now at 2, where previously they were at 0.
Yep, and Boof had that, you know, that flank kill coming from B after getting that one pick and kind of rotating over. That was a great use of Astra Wall right there from the Drought. Sometimes that ability is kind of held for too long and they look for those perfect opportunities, but I think that was a great job to just kind of use it and then use it to their advantage as well.
Perfect opportunities are never something that you're going to find in a match that is this even, so you need to go for the good enough opportunity, the one that gets you just enough value with your ability.
We're going to see Boof here instantly using the showstopper, and unfortunately does not get anything out of it, but great, you know, utility from Pryor, which has been one of our traditional ciphers lately, and does a great job of holding sites.
We see the dog go down, and that move screen is still up there on the side of Astra. Pryor looks like they might be in a little bit of danger here as they're peeking the corner with 3 people. They end up getting the trade with Boof there, which is to be expected. So now both teams are even, 4-4.
Yeah, not too much utility here used for the Drought, but it seems they're kind of splitting this mid here, but Tabernacus still has a Spectre here, so it is actually kind of down in gun power. There's to be kind of holding of that one way. Once again, we've seen it's just kind of a, really hard to deal with when they have the one way. They run out of smoke, throw the twin, snake bites to get even more hold, and then get their smoke back.
Both teams have ultimates that they could use this round online. The Viper ult, the Astra ult, and then that's one less ult for the side of the Drought there as one of their members is going to go down, tipping things in the Flood's favor because now they are up 1, and the Droughts have one less ultimate that they can use.
Yeah, Cruz actually does rip Seekers there and actually does get Pebble there. Pebble's kind of holding this angle, and Orthodox doing a great job of getting that pick they needed to get on the site.
They definitely did a great job, and now the Floods are down 1 against the Drought here. No ultimates now on the board to be used, so we're just kind of seeing what's going to happen now that the spike's been planted.
Absolutely here, and Rafa going to try to flash himself there. Does not unfortunately get them, but he's gonna figure him out here. But it's a great kind of peek by Devin, but unfortunately does not get him yet.
Just gonna go ahead and try to get that again, try to peek that corner, see what damage they can do. They're unable to find anything there, and Cozy's gonna be the last surviving member on the Floods, and it's going to go down. And now we have tied things up 3-3, Droughts and the Floods. This was the even match that we were expecting between these two teams.
Yeah, I mean, it went from 3-0 swing to the other 3-0 swing, and now at this point we're at 3-3. So both teams kind of in the even state, where I would say Drought kind of has the momentum right now. Winning 3 rounds in a row after going down 3 rounds is obviously a big help to your mental in terms of stuff like that, which now Floods are actually going to have to save for the most part. We call it buy down, as people call it, where you kind of buy down from next round, so they'll have those Phantoms and Vandals next round, but Drought are going to have the overall advantage.
And that Viper smoke wall is going to go down, lose some visibility here, some protection for their team as we go in. This would be the round to use the ultimates as things are all tied up here, see what we can do to tip the odds in our favor, or either the Floods or the Drought's favor, because they both have multiple ultimates.
Absolutely, and Floods went with kind of a thing that I always like seeing in Esports Tower, which is when you're kind of an eco round, or you don't have the same amount of firepower as enemy team, you kind of just group up sometimes and try to cheese them in terms of like 5-manning and hoping that they can go through that, which they're still doing in the side here, so they're going to try to use numbers to their advantage here.
And 5-manning is usually the strat, especially if you can catch somebody out, but it looks like that was not the strat there, as Cozy's going to go ahead and go down first. Pebble's going to follow them down quickly after, and that leaves the Floods 1-4 against the Drought here. The last surviving member getting picked off very, very quickly, and so the Droughts are going to have 4 people living here, and that's great for their eco.
Yep, and now we should see the Floods have a full buy here, so we should see, as basically back to what I call like a 0-0 state in terms of both teams having very close to the same weapons and stuff like that. So we just see each team just kind of more so playing off that utility and ults.
And it looks like if we're going for utility or ults, the Floods have the undisputed advantage there with almost double the ultimates on the board that the Drought has.
Absolutely, and especially that Viper Spit being up, the Killjoy being up, and Cypher's is kind of hard because obviously you have to do it reactively. You have to have a body in terms of your team going. And Tabernacus is actually going to just rip his ult right away, which is going to hold this B down. So one would think that maybe the Drought are going to be playing towards that A site now.
We're going to see what they can do as neither team can really get some info on the other. The Dog's coming out to see if we can get any scouting done. Looks like it finds a couple of people there. But now this guy's just trying to see if they can peek here.
Yeah, Tabernacus did a great job, actually. He saw the Dog was coming, and he walked just outside the smoke, so the Dog did not see him, and then walked back in as it ended, so they didn't actually see him in the smoke there.
Great subterfuge play there. We see Tabernacus still in the middle there, still in the Viper smoke pit.
Yep, and Boof's going to kind of peek this, and he's very low, actually, because of the K, and yep, he's going to find him right there.
And that's exactly what Tabernacus was looking for, just laying in wait, seeing what eliminations they can get. Then they're going to go ahead and get 3 eliminations there, putting the Floods 5 to the Droughts 2.
Yep, and Cypher's going to use the ult here, going to find Ellie close there. Does a great job just kind of getting a little dink in there and waiting for the rest of his team to rotate.
Exactly what you should do as soon as you find you're in a 2v1 situation. You don't necessarily always want to take that. Cozy's going to go ahead and take that up. Pebble's going to go down, kind of be the price for the Floods, but it looks like they're going to go ahead and win this round anyway with 4 members still living, tying us back up at 4-4.
Yeah, I think that was some great ult usage by the Floods there. Tabernacus kind of uses that Viper's Pit at the very beginning to kind of stop it, which was interesting, though, because the Drought kind of just stayed in the ult the entire time, which that decays them to 1 HP here. So basically, Tabernacus just has to hit him with 1 straight bullet, and they're just instantly going to go down there. And it seems like, they just thought maybe they could get him or didn't think they was in it or something like that. But great job, nonetheless, for the Floods.
You always have to respect the Viper pit. Do not go in unless you absolutely have to, because it is very obviously a big green trap.
Yeah, and you gotta be quick.
2 members definitely fell into that.
Yep, absolutely here. And we're gonna see some utility kind of placed by the Drought again of holding this Heaven, which they're actually changing it up though, because Prior was kind of holding that down now. They're kind of hovering these 3 agents towards B here for the Floods.
We see that first Viper smoke go down, seeing if we can obscure any sight lines here, as both teams are still kind of trying to find each other. So scout abilities might come out as people rotate, trying to find, being careful about all of their sight lines.
Absolutely. And they're kind of, Drought is kind of hovering this mid now, and it looks like they're kind of playing an A to mid, or they're overall focusing A here. We do have Empress and Sage ults. You can't really use Sage ult unless when your team members go down, but Drought obviously, in terms of Ellie for that Empress, can make some aggressive plays if she chooses to use that.
And the Floods do still have the ultimate advantage going into this, so it's just kind of who can ult first and who can get the maximum value out of their ultimate here as we go in, or who finds each other and gets a pick first.
Okay, we're going to see the Killjoy ult defensive without really kind of knowing it. I like that because now they're forced to just kind of play back and let it happen, although they do get cozy and destroy the Killjoy ult, so they didn't work with that anymore.
Left.
Which is not what you're looking for if you're a Floods fan, as we are now 4-3. That is exactly what you're looking for. Prior popping off, getting the double elimination. Pebble is going to be the price. Things get even just for a second before things go back down. 3 Floods, 2 Drought.
Absolutely, and oh, Ellie's going to get a pick onto the Rafa there because of the
10
ult.
seconds left.
He's going to go down to be resable, but unfortunately does not actually in a good spot where his teammates can reach him. Ooh, he just has enough time to plant here, but Prior just spraying through, gets some damage out, actually. Ellie gets another pick.
Last player standing.
And just like that.
Just like that, things were subverted. Prior played just a touch too cautiously there in the end, was unable to take the opportunity when they were vulnerable planting the spike, and that ultimately cost the Floods the round as we go up here.
Yeah, I think Cozy had a good idea of an ult here, but it turned out just overwhelmingly pushing through Cozy, getting the pick there and letting it happen, where I will say Prior did have a great pick here, just playing an elbow and getting 2 here, but I mean, the thing was the Droughts actually just had another flank. It seems they have everyone kind of flanking, so you'd always watch your back in terms of these scenarios where you think you wouldn't have to.
And now the Droughts are up 1, 5 to the Floods 4, and they have 3 ultimates to the Floods single 1.
Ooh, great.
Prior's trying to spray into there, was unable to find anything, but they found him, and so that puts the Floods in the difficult position of being down 1 within the first 20 seconds of this next round.
Yep, and Floods are actually down the eco this round as well. They actually have just eco bullets with Sheriffs and Buckies, and we're going to see the Showstopper hit Pebble and bring him down.
Last player standing.
And it looks like 4 members for the Droughts are still alive, so we'll see what the last remaining member of the Floods can do. Cozy over here on the Killjoy, we'll see what they can do. But at this point, you're just trying to see what eco you can take away, which ends up being none at all for the side of the Floods, as the Droughts go up 6, the Floods 4.
Yeah, and this has just been a kind of a crazy game here so far, which we've seen a lot of back and forth. We've seen Floods go up 3, Drought go to 3, and then Floods win another one. Like, okay, maybe it starts to sway, and then Droughts are back up 2 again. So 6-4 first half. We have 2 more rounds. These are going to be pretty big rounds, I'd say, to go into the next half.
As we go in here, we're expecting both of these teams to be these next couple of rounds. This is usually when things even out. Usually the gap doesn't get bigger than 2 or 3 here, so we expect the Floods to be able to pull something out here.
Absolutely, and they're going to have a full buy here from each team. And Cozy getting a pick right off the back on Boof, and that's going to be a great kind of start to the round for the Floods.
Floods still 5. The res is finally going to come out. I mean, great opportunity to use it. The Droughts are trying to maintain their momentum here. Going to get that another elimination onto Cozy, and it looks like they're going to get away with that, putting the Floods back up 1 with no res online, and that's a feels bad, especially as Sage for the side of the Drought is going to go down themselves.
Cozy gets another pick, so he's effectively gotten 3 kills this round. Oh, Rafa holding a great angle there in Sewers.
Rafa not going to be outdone out here, going to get the elimination themselves. They're looking for an extra couple here, just kind of being careful, peeking their corners. They will be able to find Boof, and we'll see if they'll win. They will lose to Ellie, but the Floods are still 4 to the Droughts, complete white. So things are looking pretty nice for the return of the Floods here.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think the Floods did a great job of kind of holding those angles, as Cozy set the tone of the round right off the bat. We're getting like 2 picks right away, and then even a third. And even with that res, it just wasn't enough, where Rafa had a great flank onto Sewers and just held it down and did a great job of the round.
And hitting the shots when you need to hit the shots. When both people look around the corner at each other, the person who hits the more shots wins. And for a while, that was Rafa. And then it didn't quite work in their favor, but the Floods did end up winning the round, so not too terrible.
Absolutely. 5-6 here for the Floods. Drought could be a 6-6 snare that we're kind of looking for. Cozy once again going to see Boof, but going to kind of back up this time. And Pryor is going to be seen in the corner. Luckily, they do not get any kind of shots off against him. Oh, but his smoke did go down.
Pryor chose to be aggressive and ended up immediately regretting that against two members of the Droughts there.
And Tabernacle's getting a 2K here in heaven and had his knife out as they saw him, but luckily enough got his weapon out in time and got the 2K.
To be able to do anything. And so now the Floods are 4 to the Droughts 3, and we'll see if they'll be able to kind of return things into their favor.
Yeah, we're going to hear that audio cue for the Sky ult going out. The Seekers are now going to kind of go around the map as Drought get to see, information-wise of where the enemy might be.
And once you know where the enemy is, you can adjust your strategy. The Floods are just trying not to get scattered out right now, playing a little bit more passively, which is one of the other uses for Sky's ultimate, to force your enemies to play more passive so that they don't get scouted. And the Floods are still up, but Viper's looking pretty weak, so this might be one that the Droughts can turn around.
Absolutely, and Cozy right away just gets a pick as soon as you say that on the Drought, making it a 4v2 for him.
Which is a little bit less winnable than the 3v4.
And we're here the Empress go out for Ellie, so a good opportunity for her to reset and just instantly gets traded 1-for-1. And we have a 6-6 half, which is, I think for us, it's just the most ideal in terms of what could happen for both teams. So after a crazy first half, we're going to see a 6-6 Floods and Drought.
And with 3 members surviving on the Floods for the last, things are definitely looking up for them. Things are definitely looking in their favor. Definitely not a better round for them to get that tie-up.
Yep, and now we're going to see kind of the reset for the half where both teams are going to go back to this pistol round, which has proved to be pretty important here, where this week at least in the Rumble, we've seen whoever wins the pistol round has won like a solid 3 rounds in a row.
And that's exactly what you're looking for, the early advantage, getting it from the pistol round, just having better ability usage and better mechanical skill than your team in the pistol rounds here are definitely what we're looking for.
Yep, and Drought's actually going to opt for the 5 Ghosts, which is kind of a comfort thing in terms of pistol round. There's not really a good way to go about it in terms of which is better than the other. It's kind of a comfort thing, and Drought's opting for all 5 Ghosts, so they're not going to have as much as utility as the Floods are going to have.
Their likely strategy is to just go in, be as aggressive as possible, and see what eliminations they can get, and see if they can kind of build a snowball off of that.
Absolutely here, and we're going to kind of see this. We've seen a lot where the garage play is kind of hovered, they get the ult orb, and they're kind of leaving here, and they're going to look for that mid, because I think if you kind of break open the mid, it's going to be open the other sides for them.
And mid is definitely preferred on this map for a variety of reasons, so we expect both teams to be using that just more. Sage wall is going to go down, which is just going to do nothing but slow the Droughts down.
Absolutely, they're just going to hold that. We're going to see a couple members from the Drought still kind of stay in mid. They haven't really committed each place, and I think they're kind of talking about, hey, do we want to use this mid to our advantage? We kind of work this A, so we're kind of talking and figuring out what they are doing.
And the longer it takes them to make a decision, the more likely it is that one will get caught out and make a mistake, so they really need to do this fast.
Yeah, they have 40 seconds left of the round. It looks like Floods are going to kind of start committing to this B site here, and I don't think much utility from the Droughts is still available here, and Pryor's probably be the first one to peek this, which hopefully they can use utility and sync here to kind of make it so it's safe. Yep, we're going to see the KO silence, we're going to see the smoke go down.
Not quite as safe as we're looking for here, as teams are going to trade, go 3-3 even, with the Viper on the Floods looking pretty weak, but they're going to go down, and now it's 2-3 for the side of the Drought here.
And time started to play a factor here. Pebble had to go pretty fast to make it happen, and now Tabernacus can basically, only way he wins this round is if he ends up killing the Sage, but I don't think the Sage is going to play it smart and just wait the timeout. Yep.
That was definitely almost legendary to watch here. Valiant effort made by the Viper there. Smart play by the Sage, not peeking when you didn't have to, and you knew you didn't have to. But that Viper definitely was able to get the double elimination and was coming for the Sage there.
Yes, I think Orthodox kind of knew at that point as the Sage of, hey, they have less than 4 seconds left and they don't have the spike, so the only way they win this round is they get me down. So just kind of hold around this pillar and wait for the time to go out, which is just what they did.
Just what they did, except for just that last little bit there, and then they were able to get the elimination. Just a little bit cheeky on the side of the Drought, so they're going to go up 1 against the Floods. Drought 7, Floods 6.
Absolutely here, and we're going to see Tabernacles kind of working this B garage still. I think we're going to kind of see this as a theme this half from the Floods of just always kind of hovering this garage and seeing what's, you know, information they can gather and get this ult orb as well.
Both teams are still trying to set up, watch their sight lines, see who's approaching where. It does look like the Droughts have committed to a site here as they're moving together and looking for that opportune moment to try to catch the Floods off guard.
Yeah, the Floods are going to be kind of rotating here through spawn as they kind of 5-man hope, maybe looking to this A hold, whereas the Drought are kind of more postured towards that B hold, where at this point they have no one on A. So if Droughts can, I mean, if the Floods can kind of start attacking here faster, they can get onto site, no problem at all.
And they're moving as quickly as they possibly can while also still being careful. So this is definitely some Drought play that we love to see.
Oh, I think they're kind of faking themselves out here. Obviously, they can't see the enemy team here, but they're actually going to go this 5-man sewers when A site was completely wide open, and I think the Drought are actually be ready for this mid play here. They got people in different positions to kind of have crossfire. And yep, Boofsy get 1 right away. Boofsy get 3.
They had the right idea, and then they definitely lost it when they walked into Boof and getting that immediate triple kill. And now with the solo member of the Floods going against 3 members of the Drought, unable to do anything, which is to be expected. And the Droughts go up 8-6 against the Floods.
Yeah, they won that piss round, and now they kind of won that other round as well. And now we're going to see the round that kind of, I think, determines, you know, overall the momentum, even though it didn't really happen last round. But if the Drought can win this round, the Floods are actually be pretty bad eco-wise. So we're going to see some, obviously, some upgrades here from the Floods, seeing the Vandals and Phantoms, whereas the Drought are going to be kind of from last round, the Spectres and the Ares.
And that was one of the biggest problems that the Droughts had earlier in the season that we've seen return for the first time here is faking themselves out with the rotation, not committing to an attack point here, just kind of like being wishy-washy about it and running around. And it definitely costs.
We're see Cozy kind of going through here. Does get hit by the boom bot and takes about 50 damage overall, which is pretty big there. And Devin get at least trade 1. That's still pretty good considering they hit a frenzy.
1 for 1. The Droughts do still have their Sage online, so this might end up being a little bit less favored. But now the Viper's Pit's going to go down. And last time that worked for great effect for the Floods, so we'll see if some people are going to walk into the trap. Looks like somebody is definitely going to go down there, and now it's 3-1, and it looks like the Floods are just going to go ahead and take that with another expertly placed Viper Pit.
Yeah, great Viper's Pit there and great utility, and now, you know, Flood made sure that, hey, we need to win this round pretty bad for this half, and now they do, and we're going to see basically each team buying weapons here. Drought's going to see, you know, full Vandals, Phantoms, and actually to a degree identical here because they're going to have 2 people who just actually have to buy something else that isn't Vandal Phantoms, whereas Boof is only 1 off of that Showmaker, so I could see the Drought kind of looking for that ult orb aggressive play for Boof and then using that Showstopper to make a play.
And that probably would be the best move for them to go, is get the ability advantage and see what they can do with the ultimate. But the Floods have to have some idea that that's what the Droughts are looking to do, and it looks like they're set up together and they're set up to at least make an attempt to subvert that.
Yeah, this time, you know, the Floods are actually going to swap it up here and play really aggressive on the B site and taking 2 down in the process.
Because he's going to go ahead and get that double elimination. Things are looking pretty good for the Floods as they still have all 5 members alive, while the Droughts only have 2. But there are a couple of Floods members that are looking weak, so this might be a little bit deceptive. And Droughts still, with clever flanks, have the opportunity to pull this out.
Absolutely here, and they're going to kind of slowly just wait for them on site, playing really disciplined, I think, because they know their situation of, hey, we have a couple of people low. Elliot isn't going to pick on a Cozy. It's a good start for them to get something maybe going for this round.
Oh my gosh, and then that next member is going to go down, and now it's a 3v1 situation. The Drought definitely fought valiantly, but there's not a ton that you can do in the 2v4 situation.
Absolutely, and just like that, it's 8-8 now here for the Floods and Droughts, and I think Floods are going to be a little advantage here just due to their eco from the last 2 rounds, so we're going to see that kind of playing an effect, and I think overall this is going to be a great game so far, back and forth, and I think it's going to take kind of a team to get, you know, just that 1-2 lead and kind of stick with it to finish out the game for one of them.
There have been a couple of times where one team or the other team has been able to pull away for a couple game lead, and that's exactly what we're looking for here. I would also not be shocked if these 2 teams took us to overtime here, because they're very evenly matched, as we see with the 8-8, and neither one really pulling ahead.
Absolutely.
Dog's going to come out, is going to be shot down almost instantaneously. Cruz is going to go down for that, and it looks like, but the trade is going to come out, so we're sitting 4-on-4 for both teams. Cozy's going to go down as well, so now we're 4-on-3 with the advantage going to the Floods here as they try to close around their prey as carefully as they possibly can without going down anybody else.
Yeah, Ellie did get a cheeky kill in the corner there by just holding that corner, waiting for him to pass, and did get one, which is still pretty good, and we're going to see Pebble get another pick onto Orthodox, so we're looking at 4v2 here for the set of Floods.
Pryor looking for that, is able to find it. There's a couple missed shots there, but ends up getting it, gets the double kill. And now that is just a win for the Floods here, putting us at 9-8 as we go into this next phase.
Absolutely, and you know, Pryor did a great job of kind of holding that down over there and just getting the two to finish off the round there. And I will say, this is Tabernakis' last Esports Rumble, so I think he's really motivated to kind of have a good performance here and do everything that he can to kind of win out, as people would say.
And so far, we've seen some impressive things
Yeah.
from them tonight on that Viper.
Yes, this should do.
I will say Ellie's been a great job against her team because she is playing for the Droughts this week. Or sorry, the Droughts this week instead of the Floods, and she's doing a great job of kind of getting those frags as Reyna.
And I'm sure that there are a little bit of sharing strategies and understanding the trade is going to go down there, leaving both teams at 5-4 here. Now 5-2 as the next couple members go down, and we're going to see if they'll be able to catch anybody out. Tabernakis is also going to go down. So now it's a 4-2. Things are looking not very good for the Droughts here.
Yeah, absolutely. Rafa using that KO ultimate to kind of get that res after. It was a great job trading 1-for-1 because at the end of the day it's a 1-for-0 because you can just res Rafa right after. So great job using that ultimate. Ellie does get to find another. Does have the Empress now, but I think she's going to kind of hold it for next round to get more value out of that.
Which definitely makes a lot of sense rather than going into the 1v3 just to, you know, throw a body on the spike there.
Team Ace.
Trying to wait out. They're eventually found out here, so the Team Ace is going to come out. So an amazing overall job by the Floods there. With 3 surviving members, things are looking pretty good for them going into this next round as we go 10-8 in the advantage of the Floods.
Absolutely, and I think right now it's just Floods doing a great job of attacking, and it's really hard for Drought to kind of defend against it. Seems like Drought, I mean, the Floods recently have started off the first couple rounds playing slow and concise and kind of playing these rotations, but it seems like these last couple rounds they've been playing really aggressive, and Drought kind of hasn't, you know, been able to react to that. And I think that's why they're calling a timeout right now to kind of figure things out for the side of Drought. They're down 2 rounds now, and they know, hey, we got to take a step back. Let's reset, you know, whatever we're thinking right now, and let's figure out what we need to do to win this game. Because it's always talking about, you know, what you can do to win rather than just kind of what's going on at the moment.
Just 3 more rounds until match point, which makes this an ideal time for them to do that reset and figure out what they need to do. What do they need to do?
I would say the Drought right now are kind of getting a lot of, they're getting picked off a lot at the very beginning of rounds. It seems like Floods are kind of just always getting a kill within the first couple seconds of the round, or at least as first as they get on the site. And the moment you get one down, especially on a map like Split, I think it can give you the confidence to kind of just hold that W key and get right on the site because you know, just, you know, hey, there's only going to be 1 or 2 with you guys.
And as we go into this next round with the Droughts are looking pretty good in terms of ultimates, so it'll be up to their discretion whether they are willing and able to use any of those to any great effect that they need to if they'd like to try to close this gap before the Floods take 3 rounds and win.
Absolutely here. I'm going to expect here early Seekers here from the Drought side in terms of that Sky, so I'm going to be on the lookout for that one, especially the Showmaker as well for Boof. But right now, they're kind of just playing that mid. We're looking for this mid this round, kind of changing things up here. And Flood's kind of just getting some information from all 3 sites at the moment.
Tabernakis is just trying to stop information from happening with that Viper wall there, the smoke wall. Doesn't actually end up saving anybody on either team, but just does kind of like make people rotate and move to try to find people. Tabernakis waiting for somebody to peek that corner, and they are fully aware that somebody's there, so they're just waiting for the correct opportunity.
Oh, great.
They're going to get taken down, though.
Oh, and a showstopper coming from right above them. Boof doing a great job with the utility together, and Orthodox gets a pick mid as well.
And now we are 2 to the full 5 members of the Droughts. Now only 4 here. The Floods have a 2v4 situation, so at this point, they've got to try to play clever or they've got to try to play to live, because the 2v4 is unlikely in a straight-out fight.
Yeah, we're going to see Cozy kind of place down some utility there and has both of their mollies on top of sight, so they can kind of stall if it gets to that point. But it is a 4v2 at the end of the day, so we're going to need to see some pretty, big plays here from Pryor and Cozy to see if this goes through. And Cozy does get one.
Sage slows comes down. Cozy's going to go ahead and get boofed there. So now it's a 2v3, which is a lot more doable than a 2v4. And things might look like Cozy has the ability to carry this.
Yeah, Pryor's going to kind of hold that side there to start at the beginning. And Orthodox is going to get the kill onto Pryor here. And Ellie is going to finish it off for Cozy to win the round. That's a big round to win. And now we're going to see 10-9.
An overall exceptional effort from Cozy there. But at that point, you were 2-4. And at that point, there's not a whole lot you can do. But they definitely did what they absolutely could there. Going 10-9 in the advantage of the Floods. Somebody's got to pick up some more wins here.
Absolutely, and I think Drought did a fantastic job of using their utility here. We saw the Astra kind of suck there onto the A main there, and we saw, as that happened, the peek from Ellie, and then in terms of Boof, going over the Viper wall with the Shellmaker and saying surprise to Rafa and getting that kill. So overall, great job of the Drought's usage of utility there, and they only used one ult for it too.
And now they have enough ultimates where if they wanted to use an ultimate to win every round, they could and go ahead and win this over the Floods. The Sage Slow is going to come out, see what we can do here. So is the Viper smoke wall, as both teams are being pretty aggressive initially. Pryor's going to go ahead and go down, and then so is Cozy and Cruz, leaving us with 3-4. Floods 3, Drought 4.
Absolutely here, and Droughts once again still have 3 ultimates online, but I think they're kind of hold him here. Rafa's going to peek this and get a great pick onto Orthodox. That's just what they needed to get this 3v3 going.
And especially now that the res is down, this is looking like exactly not what the Droughts are looking for here, because with the res potential, they could have brought somebody up and turned it into a 5v3, but without that Sage, they can no longer do that, and this is just even, so they might be forced to use one of their other ultimates, unless they're just going to go ahead and pop off and eliminate Raffle and Pebble and Tabernakis just immediately within the span of 10 seconds.
Yeah, Droughts had a great crossfire there, so no matter what the Floods kind of did to get into view, we saw them get out of that, basically that the garage kind of area, and did a great job of crossfiring there to get those kills, and next thing now you know, 10-10. So this is a great game so far, and I think it's going to take what team to play consistent here to kind of pull ahead and see how much they really want this game.
Crossfire is the best way to get eliminations, especially if you can set up a crossfire. It's the best way to get eliminations in this game, because people are left without a place to hide if you're coming at them from both of the angles.
Absolutely. And now we see kind of see those ults are kind of picking up. We have the Viper's Pit for Floods, so if the Floods can get onto site with the Vipers still alive, they can kind of get that Viper's Pit going. It's a great one-for-one pick in terms of the Floods. They want that.
And you know what? Viper's still alive, which is exactly what the Floods are looking for, and that Sage Slow is going to come out, not get a ton of value, and it looks like the Viper wall is going to see what we can do here, but it looks like they're just flanking around it anyway.
Yeah, with the Floods rotating out, it seems like the Orthodox is actually getting an opportunity to res here, so it actually will be a 5v4 if this res goes through, which I think they're going to do right now. Yep, LA's going to get up for that res, and we're going to see the Floods now going on to A site. Oh, Devin gets a great pick right away. Even if it just stops them the slightest, it's a great job for them because it's still 4v3.
The Floods can't do this whole trade game that they've been doing all game, especially now that that Sage res came out, because now we are 2-5, and the Viper ult is no longer on the table for them to try to use as a carry as that flash is going to come out, but Cruz is going to get eliminated on the sky, so is Orthodox, and that was a valiant effort, especially for how down they were. That came down to a couple of shots, and who had better mechanical ability at the end here when everybody just found each other and shot.
Yeah, I'd say it seemed like he was kind of playing slow throughout the round. Each team kind of playing, around the map, and next thing you know, they get into A site, and everything kind of just falls right away, where it was 4-2, and it ends up, one standing within a matter of just a couple of seconds here, and we can just kind of replay this show. Rafa getting a great pick onto Cruz, and then after that, just Rafa getting a 3K, almost got the 4, but unfortunately, he didn't have enough bullets, and they just peeked him at that point, and Orthodox the round.
Needed a couple more bullets and a little bit more health. Their story of their life there with the Floods. And at this point, we are 10-11, advantage going to the Drought here. Both teams have ultimates up, and we're expecting the Floods to probably try to get on site and play with that Viper's Pit there that they've had great success with.
Yep, I can also see Rafa using this KO ult to kind of get on site, silencing the enemies, and also if he goes down, he can get res from a different teammate. So I could see them kind of waiting for that to figure out what they want to go first, and I can see him instantly using that ultimate to kind of get that site.
But right now, nobody's using a whole lot of anything as they look for each other. Tabernakis has found some. Sage Wall is going to come out. Tabernakis is going to decide that's above their pay grade, and they're going to go ahead and wait for allies to back them up.
Boof playing a really aggressive angle on top of that Sage Wall, but does get punished by Pebble there. So Drato's now down 4-5 here, and I will say Astro's really low on the side of Floods, though. Devin does get a pick onto Cozy, so it's a 4v4 now with one really low on the side of Floods.
So theoretically, the advantage would be in the Droughts, but that's all dependent on whether or not the Floods are able to get in, get that Viper's Pit, and get the value that they need out of it.
Absolutely. Still have the KO ult up, so they can use that as well to give a lot of utility to their team in terms of Drought not being able to use any utility if they get on site for silence.
30 seconds left.
And now that there's only 30 seconds left, both teams have a little bit of a fire under them to try to get what they need to do done and rotate to site.
Yep, and Rafa, we're going to see the KO ult coming out here, so they can be res. They do get down, and they're re-silencing every couple seconds. So, oh, Ellie is going to down Rafa, but they really don't have that much time here for the side of Floods. They have to get on the site quick and plant within 4 seconds here. They have 4. They need to start planning right now, but they actually didn't, so they're actually just going to lose the round no matter what here. They're going to lose the time.
Wow, that's definitely not what we're looking for. They're going to go ahead and try to plant this, see what they can do here. Yeah. They're unable to win that round. Unable to win that round, and now we are 10-12, and that round just feels a little bit icky if you're a Floods fan. Yeah,
I mean, they did get on the site, but unfortunately, they just didn't have enough time left, and, you know, they just committed a little too late, and Ellie is doing a fantastic job on the side of Droughts, just fragging out this game. 23 kills going, and top fragging for, you know, against basically her team, you know, essentially. So, well, that must always feel kind of good to play against your team and do a great job of doing so.
They're definitely missing Ellie at this point in time.
Cozy's be kind of peeking this wide. And we're going to see Boof instantly pop the Showmaker. Does get 2 kills to utility, gets one with Cozy, gets a grenade kill into Rafa. So great job there by Rafa.
Putting us 5-3 at match point. This might just go to the Droughts here.
Absolutely, and that's a great point. It is match point here. It's do or die here for Floods, and they have a 3v5 scenario here, and they are attacking.
Some of these smoke walls stopping people from knowing where they are. Boof is going to go down. A 3v4 is a lot more doable than a 3v5 here. Boof going down might end up being the difference.
Yeah, Boof just playing aggressive as always, but, you know, unfortunately the Floods are going to punish that. And now is it, yeah, like you said, a 3v4 here.
Exactly.
Oh, great Cypher ult being used. They're going to see some location. They're going to know, you know, kind of, you know, generally where they are here. But it seems like the Floods are kind of committing to this A site.
And usually the idea is once Ellie's going to go ahead and go down, who's historically been there clutch in a 3v3. Man, the Floods might just be able to pick this up.
Yet the Viper's Pit coming down here. They have 30 seconds left, and Orthodox kind of has a good angle. Going to jump down here into the Viper's Pit. Gets one from Fire.
Oh! Unable to pick the final one up, but now it's a 2v2 in the Viper's Pit, seeing what we can do. Now it's a 2v1 with one of the members on the Floods looking pretty weak. So this is actually doable for Cruz here if they can find anybody.
Absolutely here, and we're going to see kind of this, you know, Cruz going to go all around the corners here, and Tabernakis and Pebble are going to play together in the corner, which is pretty smart from them. Yep. Great flash. Doesn't get a double flash here from Cruz, but they're going to kind of just hope nothing actually happens from it.
Huge flash, but the inability to capitalize on it is going to cost them both times here, and they round that corner, and they're going to go down because Pebble knows where you are, but Cruz has no idea where anybody's at.
Pebble with a 3K, a big moment for Pebble to step up there, and that's just what they needed to kind of get this still going, and it's now 11-12. Still game point for Drought here, but if Floods do this, it's overtime.
The two flashes unable to get the value there that Cruz was looking for was just feels real bad, especially because the Droughts thought they had this in the bag. They were 5-3. They were like, we've got this, guys, and then their members just kept getting picked off doing solo play things.
Yeah, Boof playing really aggressive, and it kind of ends up biting him there with that Viper's Pit advantage. And We're going to see some utility from the KO knife. Get a good lineup there to kind of use it on site, and we're going to see a split here from the Flood. So we're going to see, you know, kind of 3 towards that B side and 2 towards that A side. Kind of, I think they're just kind of trying to get information to see what they want to go here.
Sage Slow's going to go down. A couple of Astra abilities are also going to go down as we see the Floods versus the Drought, just trying to figure out where people are and adjust their strategy accordingly. And it looks like the Drought are trying to rotate A, but they're not really committing to anything. They're hard committing to A, it looks like right now.
Okay, we're seeing the Astra Wall coming out here, and Cozy to get, you know, a little bit of damage on a Devon, but, you know, not enough to obviously get him down. I think the Sage Shield should be up here, so Devon can actually get to full HP, just no armor.
And as we go in here, that Astral Wall is going to be huge going into this next fight because it's happening essentially on opposite sides.
Orthodox coming down just right on top of Cozy getting the kill. And Boof with another grenade kill onto Pryor. Great job of that raise. And Orthodox is just going Battle Sage and just taking everyone down before anyone of his teammates can.
And it's absolutely working for Orthodox there as they got the 3K elimination and end up getting this round for their team. 11-13 for the Drought. So the Drought are going to go ahead and take that.
Yep, and to get it going here, Esports Tower, you know, going at it alone can only get you so far. Ultimately, if you want to increase your chances of successes of winning, you have to level up in your teaming skills. We just saw that last game where both teams are going crazy back and forth, and a great game overall. Esports Tower really takes the time to create teams of well-matched teams. I like to give a shout-out to the coaches, especially Coach Halter, which does a great job of coaching these guys on the Esports Tower, and, you know, seeing them improve each week is great. And if you haven't, check out Esports Clubs. You should. It's a fast track to rank up, and thank you, Esports Tower. And, you know, overall, we can look back at the bracket really quick to see, you know, the path they took in Droughts versus Floods. Now Droughts up 1-0 in a fantastic game on Split. And what are your kind of overall thoughts on that game at the end of there, D'Angelo?
There were 2 main team-oriented things that were going on that were absolutely phenomenal. One of them was the pairs that both teams tend to play into. Usually, if you're in a pair, you are much safer and your odds of getting picked are much less. So that was a big thing that both teams utilized a lot, and they did so phenomenally. And then the other thing was both teams, when somebody on the enemy went around by themselves, both teams punished that regularly. We saw it most notably happen to Boof in the 5 versus the 3, but there were definitely plenty of other people that got caught out. I would say most agents on either team got caught out at least once when they were doing some flanky things that they maybe shouldn't have been doing.
Yep, absolutely. And we're going to go to our break now, our Game 2 Grand Finals, Drought versus Flood, with the Drought leading 1-0. We'll be right back after this break.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your Guard adventure. Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Welcome back to this week's broadcast of the Esports Tower Rumble in Valorant. We're broadcasting it from the Boise State Esports Arena. And welcome back into the Esports Tower Winter Rumble Week 2. We're about to head into Game 2 in the Grand Finals with the Drought one a game away from back-to-back Rumble titles. We're going to head to Bind the map Flood, feel very confident in. Let's see if they can force a Game 3. I am your host, Brandon Red Hots Koziansik, and joining me to call the action is Colby D'Angelo Alloway. And Colby, or D'Angelo, I should say, what do you think, or what do you want to see in this Bind map that we're going to see for Game 2 here?
I am really excited to see a Sova. I would love to see a Sova. Sova is kind of the Bind meta. People definitely love to play Sova on that because of the recon era. That is a huge deal, an amazing ability there. Also, just an added bonus, if Pryor chooses to play the Sova on Bind, he's going to pop off.
Yeah.
And we're always here for players popping off no matter what team they're on.
Absolutely, and we want to take a moment to congratulate all of the Esports Tower Club members who have graduated from the clubs and have been offered scholarships across the country. Over the last 3 months, Esports Tower Club members have received over $1.6 million in scholarships awards. These students have not only worked hard in their in-game play, but worked hard academically and have earned these scholarship opportunities. We could not be more excited and proud to see all these opportunities these players are getting, and overall, just $1.6 million is a lot of money in scholarships, and we love to see that.
Especially because these players, like, all the pressure that normal college students feel on top of, like, being an esports competitor, that's a huge deal.
Yeah.
That's a thing that most, like, that's an amount of pressure that most humans can't manage, and so it's especially amazing that they're being rewarded for it.
Absolutely, and with that, this is Doc's Keys to the Game, which are presented today by Esports Tower, which in Valorant, flank efficiently, spend and peek wisely, diminish their econ and loot, and dominate angles. That is brought to you by Esports Tower. Score pro advice at esportstower.com. Improve your game sense, improve your T-play, improve your performance under pressure. You'll get matched with great players and professional coaches to help you rank up. And now it is time for this Game 2 on Bind, which is the Floods versus Droughts in this week 2 Grand Finals between the Flood and the Drought. The Drought obviously got the Game 1 win and now are match point. Can the Flood rally for Game 3, or will the Droughts beat them out to it? And overall, I'm just excited for this match because last match was a great game. I mean, it was 13-11 for the final score there, and it was back and forth. We saw the 3-0 start, 3-3 back, okay, 4-5, you know, stuff like that. So I hope we can see another great game on Bind.
The teams were never further apart than 3 wins, and this shows that these teams... This can absolutely be turned into a reverse sweep right here on Bind, and we're getting ready to find out which of these teams is going to be able to pull it out because these teams are so evenly matched. I mean, most of the Valorant that we cast is pretty one-sided, one way or the other. Sometimes the gaps are like 10 or more. That is absolutely not the case here, and so we are not expecting to see either team roll.
Absolutely, and I think each team has, their pretty strengths and weaknesses in terms of like agents too. Because last game we saw a lot of agent variety. We saw the KO from the Floods, we saw the Killjoy from the Floods, but then we saw the Drought kind of picking up that Sage and the Rays. So overall, I'm really excited to see what agents these teams play, and if it'll be close if we see the Jet or something like that.
And the agent variety is something that's really, really cool amongst these two teams. They have players that are good at the different agents, so they're not running mirror comps into each other where all that matters is getting ability value and doing it better than your counterpart. They're running completely different strategies, which also makes this an amazing match.
Absolutely. That's right away we're going to see the Cozy on, locking in that Jet. And this is a pretty standard team, I'd kind of say, or team comp. We see the Astra on this map. Astra's a really big force in this map. We're going to see the Killjoy from Tabernacus, though, when typically people kind of play that Viper in this map as well, but it looks like both teams are opting in for the Killjoy, so they obviously have practice with that and have plans to do something with that in their strategies.
Priors on the Sova.
Yep.
Prior cruise on the Sova is going to be a big deal, especially without that Viper to deny those sight lines and kind of like throw a wrench in the whole Sova plans.
Yep.
We expect to see some big Sova plays here from both of the teams.
Absolutely. We're going to see both teams kind of running the one duelist, except for we're going to see Cozy rocking that Jet, and we're going to see Boof back on that Raze, which has done a fantastic job on that Raze. We saw a lot of utility kills, especially grenade kills and showstoppers towards the end of the half of last game, so I think they're pretty warmed up on the agent this time and ready to kind of go crazy with it.
Everybody's warm. Everybody's ready to pop off. Hopefully both teams play aggressively so we can see what they can really do with these agents here as we get set up for our first round in Bind.
Absolutely. Bind is another one of those maps that, both teams have probably played for a long time, as long as Split, where it was one of the first maps in the game. So both teams have a lot of practice on it, and, overall it should be a great match with these two teams. I do want to see kind of which team, how they attack. Attack can be a lot of different ways in this map. We've kind of seen some teams force A site really heavily, some teams force B site really heavily, or sometimes playing that kind of A short with using the TPs, because, the teleporters in this map are the unique things about this map where you can always rotate around.
And forcing a site is usually not, like, you want to have the ability to rotate to a different site if it's just not going to work on a site, but also both of these teams struggle sometimes with being too wishy-washy with their commits. So finding that balance between forcing something that's not going to work and stopping something before you even give it a chance is going to be interesting here, as the Droughts look like they're set up on the high ground over site there.
Yep, and we're going to see the Drought are going to attack here. They're kind of looking for that hookah plan, but it seems they kind of just went hookah, saw the utility, and are now choosing to rotate out, which they are still having, 2 members or 3 members on A here for the side of Floods. They're very ready for this.
And the Droughts are playing all together, so if they run into any members of the Flood, it's going to go exactly like that, and Boof is just going to go down without being able to do much of anything against 5 members.
Yeah, Rafa did a great job there, and so we're going to see a 4v5 here, and then we're going to see a plant soon here from Droughts, and they're overall in a good spot. Pryor gets a pick onto Ellie, and Cruz going to trade with Cozy, and we're going to see a 2v3 here. Anything can happen at this point. We're going to see kind of back and forth going on.
Especially with how low that Sky is, they're going to get taken out. And now this is a 2v2. Now it's a 1v1.
Yep.
What we thought was going to be a pretty dominant Drought because they got the initial pick actually ends up being much more even than we initially thought. The Flood's trying to pull this out here with that Solo Astra, seeing what they can do with only 35 HP left here.
Yeah, they're starting to run out of time here, so he has to kind of choose where he wants to go. And the utility from the Killjoys that come out here, so he's going to have even less time than that. Going to start diffusing, and is going to go off of it, and Tabernacus is going to clutch the round. Great overall job by Tabernacus playing patiently, because that was a crazy back and forth.
You wait for the defuse, you go in and you eliminate them. You know, in a situation like that where you already have the spike planted, you know there's going to be an opportunity where they're vulnerable for you to capitalize on. And they waited exactly for that and went for it. And honestly, great job.
Absolutely, and I think even just using a great job of using that Molly early to kind of delay it even more so Tabernacus can kind of get in a good spot that he wants to get in. So great job of utility there, and a great first round by Drought. So could have went either way.
We thought it was Drought, and I mean, it ended up being Drought, but not before a valiant effort from the Floods, almost flipping it, going 1-1 when it initially started 5v4.
Yeah, we're going to see here Ellie going to use some flash and stuff. Flash back and forth here for the skies. But
Looking for that flash, unable to find anything just yet as all 5 members of Drought round that corner looking for some unfortunate people to peg here.
Yep, and it looks like, overall we're start seeing some action here. Great grenade actually going to get, Rafa
Spike
there.
down A.
Direct hit to Tomb as well.
Remaining.
And that was a quick round. Floods are going to just wipe him there almost instantaneously after that, so.
We were talking about Ellie, and Ellie just came in out for blood that round. It's in Doc's keys to the game, the efficient flanks, and that is exactly what that was, because none of the members of the Droughts were looking at Ellie when they peeked that corner and proceeded to take all the eliminations they possibly could.
Absolutely, and just a really fast round too, and it's going to look like Drought's going to actually have to full save now. They bought last round and kind of hoping that went out for them, but overall just didn't do much for them, so they have to have a full save here, and Floods are kind of in the driver's seat at this point for this round.
But we're still 1-1, so anything could theoretically happen, especially now that Boof is the first elimination here. We are 4-5 with the Drought at a full roster here.
Absolutely, we're going to see the Sova drone kind of going through to get some more information here. And we're going to see the Droughts kind of, posturing each side. They're kind of 2 in market, where they have 2 kind of holding that bathroom, trying to clear that out. So I think they're just kind of looking for information to see what they want to do here. Ellie's going to get 1, and Pebble just barely gets Ellie as she turns that corner.
And now we are 3-4, so that trade still works in the Drought's favor there. The Floods need to do something other than trade if they want to win this round. The Droughts can keep trading all day, every day. It might put them in a little bit of an eco negative there, but they have the ability to trade and still win the round.
Yeah, but we're going to kind of see this. Once again, the Droughts are kind of just all 5 here in this A short, just looking to get something going. They're going to see the Sova dart going through, but still a lot of utility from each side here, so I don't think Flood's plan to kind of give up this corridor. And Orthodox is going to get 1 pick onto Rafa. That's a good start for them. It's now 3v3.
And the 3v3 is now the point where trades start being of equal value to both teams. So, I mean, obviously somebody needs to get more than just a trade to win the round, but trades are now much more feasible for the Floods here.
And Drought are actually going to start running out of time here. They're actually playing here pretty soon, and Floods are taking advantage of that, just instantly getting 2 down, and Pryor's not going to have enough time to plant this bomb here, so it's going to be overall a loss for the Drought.
That was a 2v1 ended up being, and that's the Floods coming back from behind yet again to take out the Droughts there. Great job. The 2 rounds they've won, they did so at a disadvantage. Cannot be happier if you're a Floods fan.
Absolutely, and it seems like Droughts kind of just couldn't figure out where they wanted to go there. They were kind of going back and forth. They were kind of splitting up. They went all 5, into short. They said, no, let's not do that. Go to Marketplace. And by the time they actually get onto B site, they have less than 10 seconds left. And the moment you kill the spike carrier, it's basically just a round over if everyone lives.
Absolutely. And as we go into this next round, the Killjoy ultimate is up, so we'll see what the Floods are able to do with that there, should they choose to use it.
Yeah, we're going to see a flash go out immediately there, so Drought kind of, focusing towards B this time, where seems like Pebble was maybe disconnected or something like that, still in spawn, so unfortunate there. But Boof is he had 2 kills right out of teleporter.
Floods are going to go down, and now we are 5-2 at the disadvantage of the Drought here. And at this point, if you're Jet or Aster for the Drought, you just kind of have to see what you can do to stop the bleeding.
Yeah, Cozy does get 1. It's now
pretty big.
Yeah, it seems like Devin is coming back now from, or Pebble, I should say, sorry. Pebble's come back from, it looks like they had something going on or something like that, but nonetheless, that is now 4-2 in this round, and Pebble has nothing as well, so it'll be a hard round here for Drought.
And both teams are kind of playing a little bit more scarcely, as you tend to do when you're 2v4. Cozy's going to go ahead and get that elimination on the Boof, turning it into a 2v3, which is much more winnable than a 2v4, but not at the cost of a lot of HP. And Orthodox is just going to go ahead and take both of them down as they round the corner, and now the eco should be in the favor of the Floods here.
Absolutely. So now it's going to go 3-1, and it seems like they're just doing a great job of kind of utility usage and stuff like that. And it seems like, Droughts are kind of, struggling with that attack and figuring out which way to go with it.
And at this point, as we set up into the next round, there is still the Killjoy ultimate on the board, but there is also a Sky and a Jet ultimate on the board for each team as well, in addition to the Killjoy. So we'll see who gets to use those ultimates first, and if they do so, the Droughts could potentially turn things around and catch up to the 3-1 lead that the Floods currently have.
Yeah, they're going to keep holding it here in terms of Ellie kind of holding this spot. And once again, you know, the Droughts are going to be kind of holding out the A short angle here, but unfortunately can't get anything too far going.
Sky also is going to come out. Sky Dog, they're just kind of looking for some information here. Boof will not find information, but they will find some eliminations onto 2 of the members, and then Ellie's going to go ahead and clean that up, leaving us with 5 to a single Jet at this point, just trying to run away, see what they can do to get out. They are unable to, which is to be expected.
Yeah, and Boof is getting another kill there. And actually, I will say I think the names are swapped because it's Droughts that are up 4-1 at this point right now. Because you know that's Boof and stuff is on the Droughts, and so they got a double kill right there. Boof gets a double grenade kill, and Ellie gets another kill onto Tabernakis. So great job there, and you know the Droughts are doing a great job of defending this map.
Absolutely. And now that the timeout is active here, both teams are trying to reset. This is the first time we've seen a gap. This is the second time we've seen a gap of 3. It might get bigger than that, and if it does, that will be the first time that we've seen as they just try to like pull away here.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that, you know, it's kind of like an agency thing in terms of how they want to attack. It seems like they can't commit to like a site or something like that. We see them kind of posturing each side, and it seems like overall they can't really get something going at one side to, you know, keep going at that as well.
What are some of the strategies that both teams should be talking about during this timeout?
I think in terms of the, you know, the attackers here, I'd say they got to kind of focus on, all right, guys, I think we need to use utility together on a site rather than kind of, you know, playing back and forth, you know, playing a little bit too, I would say, reactive. They're kind of waiting to see what they want to do, but I think they also have a solid plan themselves to kind of play off of.
And the attackers are getting set up here. They're kind of spread out a little bit against the defenders here, as both teams are kind of looking for information, trying to figure out where they are.
Yeah, we're going to see kind of Ellie rotating through spawn to kind of look for that B, and Droughts are going to be holding down in terms of still playing this kind of spread out attack, which is pretty standard. You can call it standard if you want in terms of fan out. But I think overall they're kind of using a lot of time and not usually getting picked off from this as well.
Which is definitely not what you're looking for if you're on the solo play. You're definitely trying not to get picked, but that's something that both teams historically have punished, as that Skydog is going to come out, and then Rafta's going to get picked. So is Boof. So the trade is even. Both teams are 4-4 here going into this next fight.
Yep.
Cozy and Ellie are also going to go down, taking us 3-3.
Ooh, and Tabernakis gets another pick onto Cruz here. And the Flood's down 2-3, and you know they're actually kind of getting some attack sites. I think they can kind of get this A site down here. They just need to plant the spike and play some time.
Defenders are down 1, which could end up being a little bit unfortunate for them there, especially since the attackers have full ultimates on the board right now.
Absolutely, and Tabernakis is going to start planting down, gets the spike down. All of this, the kill drill is coming down here. Orthodox gets a pick onto Tabernakis, and they can kind of get into full sight here because they have nothing to destroy this ultimate. Oh, the Hunter's Fury does come out here for the defense. They decided to, you know, kind of hold it for this defend of the bomb rather than the ult, but I think Orthodox is going to kind of hold it down here and just win the round through just holding it. And that's just what he's going to do.
Enemy remaining.
Unfortunately, Pebble does get the kill after the fact, but, you know, Orthodox did get this spike down, and like they said, pros don't fake.
You absolutely needed more than just the eliminations there. Valorant is about more than just how well you can eliminate the enemy team. And it seems like that was pretty unfortunate there.
Turret out.
As the defenders were totally wiped, but still won the round.
Yeah, they got the defuse off just in the nick of time before, you know, they actually saw him behind the box there, and that was just a great job because if they hesitated at all for defusing that bomb or the spike, you know, they lose the round there. So great job from there. We're going to see Cozy use the jet knives here, and it's now 5-1.
We see that Sky Flash come out, is unable to find anything just right then and there. both teams kind of looking for each other. A little bit of shots exchange. Boof is going to go down. Boof is really got to stop with those flanks there. It's kind of costing their team a little bit here as the defenders are now down 1 yet again.
Absolutely, and you know, the Floods lost the drought in the past here, so hopefully they can kind of get it this time, and the Seekers are going to come out onto site, and looks like they're going to kind of follow them onto A site here, but it seems like they're still staggering and kind of can't really commit fully because of that smoke by Jet thrown in the middle there.
And some Astra Smoke is also going to come out, as well as the Flash. Flash will be unable to find anything there.
Yep. Oh,
And
great,
now things are
nice.
3 to 4, 2 to 4. The attackers still having the advantage here.
Spike planted.
The spike has been planted, so now the 2 remaining members on defense will have to see what they can do to try to prevent that from happening.
Absolutely, we're going to see a 2v2 here, and the drought are going to be quite low.
Last player standing.
Pebble does get a pick onto Devin, and Pebble gets another pick onto Orthodox, and it's now a 5-2. Get something going on for the droughts.
But honestly, that started as 2 to 4, and so that's incredibly impressive that they were able to narrow it and almost win on the side of the defenders there. Because when that spike was planted, there were 4 members still up for the side of the attackers.
I've also think we've seen a really great display of utility here. We saw the Astra kind of holding those short points and making it really hard for the team to kind of attack through that. And as well as the Sova darts and stuff like that. We saw the Cozy have a great job of the knives there, using it really aggressively with the Killjoy ult to kind of make it anything for them to react to.
When you see that Jet Smoke come out first, they're trying to look for, see what picks they can get, see if they can catch anybody out.
Yeah, we're going to see kind of Jet, Cozy holding this down, kind of peeking to see if they get any picks off, because they're still kind of playing that standard I keep saying, where they're kind of spreading out all over the map and seeing if they can get a pick anywhere and then playing off that information alone. And it seems to be kind of working out from the last round, so maybe they could probably keep trying to do it to see if it keeps working.
Both teams definitely have members that can be relied upon to be caught out and picked if you can beat them in the mechanical 1v1 here. So that is a pretty solid strategy for either one to have, as both Cozy and Orthodox are going to trade, so defenders and attackers are still even 4 to 4.
Absolutely. And Pryor gets another kill on the Boof, which is a great kind of start for them. They need to keep things going here with a 3v4 now.
And that Sova drone is going to come out and get destroyed before it's able to get a ton of information, and then Cruz themselves is going to go down to Pebble, and then Pryor is also going to go down to Ellie, leaving us at 3v2 to the advantage of the attackers.
Absolutely, and Pebble's going to get another kill onto Ellie here, and it's going to be a 1v3 here for the side of Drought, and Devin's going to try to, he's really far away from the site, but going to have to try to make things happen as he comes and tries to take the retake of the site.
And, I mean, going 1 versus 3, there's not a ton you can do other than try to save your own eco and try to see if you could sabotage any of theirs. But ultimately, it looks like Tabernacle, it looks like they don't want to risk that, as they're just kind of like waiting. Yeah,
so I think Devin kind of knows that it's going to be really hard to win this round, so I think he's going to save and just play for basically the outros and to see if people leaving the site and stuff like that so they don't blow up. And he's going to try to get a pick here from Devin. So I think he's going to wide peak this here pretty soon. Or maybe at the end of the round. Or he's going to wait for Devin right in front of him.
Tabernacle to just walk right into him there. And, I mean, that definitely works, too. If you just sit in the corner and wait for somebody to walk past you to get the elimination, that works, too.
And now it's a 5-3 for the side of Floods. And it seems like I said, this kind of standard fan for them is working out for them as they just kind of slow play, getting a lot of picks. And it seems like Drought is, losing a lot of these 1v1s that is kind of opening these sites up for the Floods to attack.
And Tabernacle was just not ready for Devin to be exactly right there. And why would he be? Those look like relatively innocent crates, so completely understandable. The attackers look like they've gone on a split here. Trying to kind of divide and conquer, but not necessarily leaving anybody alone or without help.
Yeah, Rob kind of gets some utility here. And once again, Floods still just kind of going around the corner here. Get the bomb here. I think they're going to play a little bit more, though. Cozy's playing pretty aggressive in garden here and kind of stuck unless he has a dash to get out here. And they're going to, yep, just like that, a dash to go out. Pebble and Cozy actually going for 2 picks here. Well, Ellie does return the pick for 1, so 3v4 here for the side of Droughts. Or sorry, for the side of Floods.
The attackers are now up 1 here as we go into this next fight, with both teams having that Astra ult. Now that the trade comes out with Rafa and Cruz, Now it's 3v2, so they're still up 1 just because of the trade.
Yep.
And the attackers have the ability to continue to trade just because they have more bodies to throw at the thing, if they choose to do that to their eco.
Absolutely, and prior to kind of see the Seeker, you can just shoot that down. He probably has lineups for this this spike plant is why I'm guessing he's kind of playing back there in that weird angle. But at least we kind of get on the site here. Has one flash left here, and he can decide to use it, try to get some information. Unfortunately, does not get the audio cue for the flash.
It's not getting a ton of information either as they're about to sneak over into enemy territory there, and Ellie is able to pick up that elimination, leaving us at a clean 2-2. Attackers and defenders even.
There's the lineups. Going to shoot those pretty ahead of time, and now it's impossible for them to get the spike down, so the Floods are going to win that round, and you know it's pretty hard to deal with when you have an Astra and a Sova kind of playing those post-plant lineups because they're playing in such funky spots that you have to really, I guess, clear all these different spots for you to actually be able to try to even attempt to defuse the spike.
Funky spots and cheeky flanks are the name of the game, according to Doc Skis. You got to flank and you got to be effective about it. And being in places where they don't expect you to be is absolutely being effective, especially if it means you don't get eliminated because they don't know you're there.
Absolutely. Now it's 5-4 for the side of Floods. I think it was down to 5-2 at one point. Now the Floods are kind of bringing it back with their, I guess, style of, you know, attacking here. And I think, you know, did a great job of having a timeout to figure out what's going on here.
And we see that Sky Dog come out and immediately get destroyed, so they at least know where one of the members of the opposing team is, as that Astra Smoke is going to go down as both teams.
One enemy remains.
Yeah, Orthox get a pick on there. Orthox getting another pick on to Cozy. Tabernacus is taking bathrooms now. Does have that clear, so it kind of opens another spot for this.
Now we are 5-3 going in with the attackers being down 2.
Yep, and Tabernacus gets a great pick on to Cruz, and that's just the kind of need to get going. Rafa gets another pick on to Ellie as well. It's now 3v3.
And Ellie is definitely the carry for the team there, so that's a great pick to go in as both teams are now even 2 with the disadvantage a little bit to the defenders because of that weak Killjoy.
We're going to see these double Killjoy ults, and it seems like no players are going to be detained, but it's now a 1v1 scenario between Drought and Floods here. Tabernacles does get Orthodox down.
And we'll see what either team is able to do as the spike is just getting closer and closer to detonating here.
Yep, Devin does get the 2 mollies there from Killjoy, so it's gonna be, you can't play the lineups, but you can be flanking. Devin reads him though. He knows exactly what Tabernacus is doing. He's rotating around. Devin played that extremely well, shot the mollies before they could even go off, and does clutch the round with 1v1. Huge round for the Drought there.
Huge read.
Yeah.
Just a couple little shots and then immediately going on the flank there. As soon as the shot stopped, Devin was like, that's not normal, and looked to the other flank. And amazing demonstration of not only map knowledge, but also player and strategy knowledge. Overall, masterfully done.
Absolutely, because I think a lot of people kind of sometimes forget that you can kind of shoot those Killjoy mollies, and so he did a great job of instantly looking for those on site. He knows that they're still there, shoots both them, so now that Tabernacus has to go and basically peek him and wins the round for it. 6-4, we're going to see 2 rounds left of the half, and I think 2 rounds could be sway each team going into the second half here.
As we go in here, the ultimates are in the favor of the Droughts on defense here with the 6-4, and it is kind of looking like teams are kind of exchanging shots here. The Sova drone is going to come out, get a little bit of information before getting exploded. And the Astra Smoke and Jet Smoke are both going to come down to kind of like do a little bit for those sight lines. So teams kind of have to regroup, refigure out what they're doing because they can't see anymore.
Yep, and it seems like Floods are actually going for this B take, which they've not taken all half. And they get kind of, you know, the utility out here. I don't know if they're going to fully commit. Cozy does go on the site, though, and instantly gets taken down by Orthodox.
And then Tabernacus is also going to go down to Boof there. Boof getting the elimination for their team. The Floods are now down 2 to the Drought.
I think Floods are going to try to work this long here, but they're going to meet Devin. Devin gets 1 and instantly runs away. Great call by that. Now it's a 5v2 scenario, and I think Floods are just going to have to either try to rotate off, or they actually can't because they don't have time. They only have 30 seconds left of the round, so they're going to have to try to take this B.
30 seconds left.
Both teams need to be more aggressive here, and considering that the Floods only have the 2 members, so the Drought's 5. Things are definitely not going to go well for them if they get aggressive into all 5 members at the same time. We see Sky's dog come out trying to figure out where these last 2 members are so that the 5 members of the Drought are not caught off guard. We see that flash come out but not get a ton of value.
Yeah, it seems like the Floods are actually going to opt for a save here. They kind of know that by this point, if they've even gotten to site, they don't have enough time to, spike or plant the spike. So they're just going to take those 2, take the guns, and say, hey, next round, we'll use it for the last round, and then we'll see how it goes from there. 7-4 for Droughts now, though, and I think if they win this, 8-4 is a pretty substantial lead for the first half.
Absolutely, that's the biggest lead that we've had between these 2 teams if the Droughts are able to pull this out and get the 8-4. If that is the case, the Droughts have definitely adjusted their strategy more effectively to combat the Floods.
Absolutely here, and we're going to see a lot of ults up for the Drought, so I'd say it's honestly kind of favored towards them. I can see Boof kind of holding that showstopper, making a huge play in A short if the Floods decide to kind of hold that angle.
And it looks like they're setting up for maybe a push on A here as we go in and kind of like see what information we can get. The Sova.
Seeker's coming out, and great first Hunter's Fury hits. Does get the kill onto Rafa, and does hit 3 more after that. Here comes the showstopper from Boof that I was talking about earlier, and going really on the aggressive. Does not find any, unfortunately. I think he's going to shoot that, and just
the Droughts are just trying to take out the Floods before they even have the opportunity to show their faces there with all the ultimates. And man, it looks like it worked because now they're down 2 going into this next engage.
Absolutely, and I think Cruz is kind of holding this angle here while they try to get something going in bathrooms.
And we'll see what we can do here as the 3 remaining attackers are trying to come up with something. They get Cruz, so now it's 3v4, which is a lot more winnable than 3v5. Yeah,
I think that's a good start that they need here. And Pryor's still going to kind of, he gets a great shock dart. Ooh, Boof gets him during the second shock dart, though, during the utility. And takes that down, so it's now 4v2 here for the side of Drought.
30 seconds left.
And especially with how weak that Killjoy is looking right now, things are looking extra sketchy as they're going to get taken down almost immediately. But they will trade with someone, which is, I mean, sometimes all you can hope for, as now the solo member of the Floods goes against the 3 of the Droughts, and the defenders are going to go ahead and take that round.
And Boof going to get that 4K to end the half there, which is, just what you kind of need, especially going to the second half. Getting momentum like that, going into pits around, you're ready to go. You're feeling warmed up here. I think 8-4, score for the Droughts is pretty favorable towards them. So I think it's going to really come down to how the Floods defend against Drought's attack and how they end up executing that.
The 4-round lead is the biggest lead we've seen between these 2 teams. It's not the biggest lead we've seen in Valorant, but between these 2 teams, they seem to be relatively evenly matched. And so if this lead can be maintained and grown, the Droughts have clearly come up with a strategy to help them specifically with the Floods in this timeout here. And the Floods are trying to figure out what's going wrong.
Yep, and Devin's going to call a timeout for the Drought here. I kind of like this because, usually you get some time in between the half, obviously, but I think just taking a moment and calling a timeout and just taking the full time to say, all right, guys, we're in the lead. How are we going to execute attack, right? Because attack, it's really a lot of things going on. There's so many different things you can do. There's so many things you've probably done in practice. So they're probably just being like, okay, guys, these are the things that we did in practice like yesterday or the day before. Let's try to execute this. This is our game plan.
And you need to focus on being just as consistent as they were on that defense on the attack. That is something that many teams struggle with. They're good at one or the other, and you got to be both. That's why the switch exists.
Absolutely, and I think that's also probably what they're talking about. Of, hey, you know what, guys? We have a momentum here. We did a great first half. Let's keep that up and do whatever we kept doing and just, attack, as well. So we're going to be 10 seconds into the round here, and it seems like Boof is already playing basically towards B, and I could see Boof going super aggressive and taking this hookah, because honestly, if you take hookah this early, it makes it so they can kind of get a lot onto site here, and they're going to go straight onto B.
And they're moving as a group all there. They checking out their sight lines, moving only as carefully and as slowly as they need to, trying to get this done as fast as they can.
Yep, and we're going to see Cruz instantly kind of dart onto site there. Flash coming out.
Unable to get any value there. The second flash comes out. It doesn't look like that gets a ton of value either. But the Astral Smoke does look like it's getting a lot of value here. As Cozy's going to pick up the double kill, and Tabernakis is going to pick up another one. And the Droughts just kind of were decimated there.
Yeah, it seems like Floods, you know, just kind of read them like a book, and, you know, Droughts thought they could just kind of, you know, sheer willpower their way through it, but Floods said absolutely not and just got them all.
Absolutely not. Nothing, no sheer willpower here. Just mechanical skill and ability usage, and it did not go the way that the Droughts were hoping.
And I think for Floods, it's a very crucial round to kind of start with. We're going to see, you know, them winning the first round, they're going to bonus now, so Droughts are most likely to be full saving here. So hopefully Floods can get another, you know, I guess, win underneath their belt and kind of use that momentum as an 8-6 to say, hey, you know, this is really winnable.
Because that's exactly what they need. 8-6 is a lot more winnable than 8-4. And 8-5 is just kind of like the hope that you're looking for if you're a Floods fan.
Yeah, and Boof is going straight out of sight. Instantly gets taken down by Rafa. And a great just, you know, oh, great. Shockdart gets a double kill from Pryor. That is insane. He has that lineup ready. So both Shockdarts hit at the same time, getting a double kill. And that's what I've been saying about Pryor, which is just a fantastic solo player.
And that's exactly what you're looking for if you're a Floods fan, because now the Floods are up 3-4, and now they're just going to go ahead and win the round with that flawless because of some phenomenal Sova play. And it looks like the Droughts really need to, like, take a couple seconds and come up with a whole new strategy, because this just is not working.
Yeah, I will say, when you're a Sova player, especially like Pryor, you get so much dopamine from this hit. Like, you've done this in practice tools so many times. You've done this in, you know, games so many times. But to actually throw the double shock dart and see that double kill, you're just like, oh, you're feeling top of the world with those shock darts.
You are like, absolutely, this is why I main this main.
Yep.
People become Sova mains for the double kill on the shock darts.
Absolutely, now you're feeling it. And so it's now 8-6 for the side of Droughts still, but Floods are actually going to be at a disadvantage here. They have the bonus from last round, whereas Droughts are now going to have all those Phantom and Vandals, so maybe they're going to approach it a little differently, and this is going to be a big round for Floods to win to kind of get the game in their favor. Oh, and just like that, it's a great start.
Spike down A.
Definitely exactly what you're looking for. Cozy getting the snipe onto the members of the Drought. Now we are down 1.
Ooh.
Nope, the even trade's going to come out, get eliminated onto Cozy. Rafa and Pebble are going to fall immediately after that, and this looks like the Droughts might be trying to take it back here as we have 4-2.
Yeah, an extremely aggressive play by Boof there, getting 2 onto sight. Pryor almost got Devin there on the spike, but Devin thought of something and was like, you know what, we're going to wait a little bit on the spike, and those shock darts did come down and miss.
But there's still the 4-2, so things are looking pretty good for the Drought here as they're up 8-6.
Pryor is going to jump down. They did see him, though, so they're going to have one angle from Bath, and that's just exactly what Devin does. Just peeks that wide, and Cruz does go down to Tabernakis, but Tabernakis is quite low, so it's going to be a 3v1, and they do have the health advantage here. Yep, and Boof with a 3K.
Can't look at both doorways at once, and right when you're looking at one, somebody's going to come at you from the other one when you're 3v1 like that. So it's honestly to be expected as we go 9-6 here to the side of the Drought.
Absolutely, and I think overall, I mean, Drought did a great job of attack there. They did get a pick. They got picked right off the bat from Cruz, but Boof being able to get into U-Haul there and making it so they have to, you know, hold 2 different angles makes it really hard for the Floods to actually deal with that.
Turret out.
And as we get set up this next round, the eco is looking like it's in the Drought's favor here, so this might end up being what they need to just kind of like take these next couple of rounds and snowball it all the way to from 9-13.
Yeah, Droughts are going to have guns as well as the Floods, but Droughts, if they win this round, are actually be a lot more, you know, equipped with credits. So this is a big round, I think, for Floods to kind of win in terms of eco-wise for them. They're going to have all the guns you know, that the Drought have. Great utility by Boof. Gets Pebble really low, 25 HP even. So Pebble's now one hit. Yeah. The boom bot is actually
very scary. Oh. They are gunning for Pebble hard here. And I mean, honestly, when somebody has 25 HP, that's exactly what you do.
Yep, and it seems like a hard take. This Cozy did a great job in playing short. Gets 3 kills.
Oh my gosh. Cozy just go ahead and pop off there. That was 4. And Boof got a couple there too. But Cozy out here eliminating almost the entirety of the Drought's team right there.
Yep.
As we are now in a 1v3 situation.
Maybe an ace here, and just like that, Cozy gets the ace for the side of Floods. And if that's not to get something going for your team, I don't know what is.
Cozy is on it right after that one. That was an amazing job there getting the ace. And as we go into this next one, Cozy's looking pretty good. They got some good ult charge out of that. And now as we go into this next round, Eco's looking a little bit more even because of that dominating win.
Absolutely, and Cozy did a fantastic job just playing in that cubby, kind of really playing discipline, waiting for everyone to kind of, they knew that the site was maybe clear, but they didn't know that the short was cleared, and Cozy did a great job holding that, getting 2, and then using that the rest of the advantage.
And Boof also got the double kill for their own team, so they definitely tried to put in the work there, just not quite as impressive as Cozy's ace that now lets them have up the jet knives.
Absolutely here, and we're going to see a 9-7 here. Once again, Drought kind of playing the style. They're kind of, now doing what the Floods kind of had success with, where they're throwing 3, B side here, and then they're having 2 kind of just sit there short, get some information, get some utility. And they're going to use that Sova drone to get some information. I think they did see Rafa jump down there, and it does actually get him with the dink. And Orthodox using a great job of that Sova utility to go through the smoke and get him down.
Just going to finally get him there, and now we are 5-4 going into this next fight. Advantage going to the Droughts.
Boof pops the ult, doesn't get a kill with it, but does get a kill on the Tabernakis, and Pebble does get the kill on the Boof. But overall, it seems like Drought was just faking B. They got some picks onto A, and now they're all rotating there. Ellie has a great spot here to kind of wait for these the team of Floods to jump down here. Oh, Pebble does get a pick onto Orthodox, though. 3v3 scenario here.
Left.
3v3 is a lot more even. We might see some ultimates used out here to try to tip the favors one way or the other, as these teams are so close, 9-7.
Yeah, 3-2, but Pryor is really low here. Devin going to play in the corner. Is going to have the recon drone to kind of get utility, so I think he's going to find Cruz out in short. But Devin is still playing in U-Haul. I don't think they know he's there yet. He's going to push out.
Last player standing.
And maybe he has a great flank. It's not over yet. It is 1v3, but can Devin clutch this? Devin gets 1. Yeah, Pryor was still holding it, yeah. Overall, it's getting really close, and now it's 9-8 for the side of Drought Floods. And, Floods are looking pretty good to kind of bring back this game.
These teams never let the gap get too big. 4 is the biggest gap that we've seen, and that's not that big of a gap in Valorant. Most teams either roll or get rolled, and that is absolutely not what's happening here, as the Floods are just steadily taking on that lead that the Droughts had.
Absolutely, I agree. And, Floods, I will say, are doing a great job of playing as a team. A lot of these times they're getting 1 pick down, so it's a 4v5 for them. What they're doing is they're playing in these rotates as a full team, and so they can kind of take all these different angles, nugget, cheese, and, at least go 1-for-1 at the very least.
And 5 people in one location have a lot better chance at eliminating somebody than a single person. We see that drone come out, we see the dog come out.
Oh, he has a fantastic kill there. Flashes the drone both times, and, unfortunately doesn't get the second kill on the Boof. Boof does get in there. I will say Boof is playing pretty phenomenal this second half, getting a lot of kills that they need for this team to get going.
Absolutely, and those kills are what put them in the advantage of being up 3 against the Floods here as this next thing goes in. Ellie's going to go ahead and get that elimination onto Cozy, and now we are up 3 yet again from the side of the Floods.
Cozy tried to get those knife kills.
At this point, you just kind of have to maybe save for Eco or see if you can eliminate anybody as the solo member against 4 of the Droughts.
Yep, and Cruz does get pebbled down, so it is now 10-8 for Droughts, and Droughts had they had a save around that round. They had multiple sheriffs, and they just played so aggressive that they could just, get the kills and get the guns here. Boof gets a kill on the, Rafa right away, and they just go playing off that.
A valiant effort, to be sure, did not end up playing off in their favor here, as the Droughts did end up taking that, or excuse me, Orthodox is going to go ahead and take that final elimination there. And as we set up into this next round, some ultimates are online, the Killjoy and the Astra ultimates for both sides. So it might just come down to who can use their ultimates better.
Yep, that's right. And we're going to see 10-8 here. They're going really aggressive here for the defensive team, and, Pryor gets one right away. Floods.
Pryor trades. Boof gets eliminated right after that. So does Ellie. So those are some big, heavy hitters. The Floods now up 2 against the Droughts. Solo Astra here. So it looks like in all that aggression, the Floods did come out on top.
All right, 3v1 here. Devin is full HP, and he has a lot of utility here, so I would not be surprised if it is winnable. It is a 1v2 here. And Rafa is quite low on this Sky.
He knows where they're coming out from. that can absolutely work to their advantage here as the solo defender of the Droughts might be able to clutch this.
And that Killjoy is going to be really hard for him to deal with. They might just go for a plan here.
Oh my gosh! Devin! Pop off, my guy! That was nothing short of fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Devin just holds the angle. I think what happened was the Floods thought that with the Killjoy that they had, you know, too much of the circle where he couldn't peek from spawn or CT, and they just run in a straight line, and Devin takes both of them down, and wow, what a fantastic play by Devin, a 1v3 clutch to really help them out, too.
They did not respect the Devin clutch, but I sure do. Absolutely amazing here. Putting the Drought only 2 away from winning at 11-8.
And Boop gets a kill right off the bat, and that's just what they need to get going. Cozy goes down, and it seems like the Droughts are playing really aggressive on this B site here. Hunter's Fury coming out from Prior, but unfortunately, I don't think he hit Boop at the end there, but does not get any kills there. Ooh, Tabernakis gets a kill onto Ellie. Boop is very low still.
Which is definitely one of the big carries for the Droughts there. And Boofus definitely is looking weak here in that Astra bubble. But we are still 3v4, so the Droughts are still up 1. But with how weak Boofus is, you could say it's almost even.
And now they're all rotating, taking this teleport to A, which we haven't seen really all game, but they're finally using this, and seems like the Floods are going to be kind of ready for them on site. Devin gets a kill onto Pebble, though, which is huge. Prior does trade one, and now it's a 3v1. We'll see if
the Floods can clutch it exactly like Devin just did, but somehow I think that might be a once-in-a-lifetime, once-per-game thing, at least, for these players.
Boof got a lot of damage there, with Boof only being about 1 hit away from dying, so that's a great job by Boof to at least get that much before going out.
Got one.
Honestly, good job, Boof. Valiant effort. Now it's a 2v1 that inevitably ends in Tabernakis getting taken down as the final member of their team. A valiant effort, but at that point, you just kind of got to see what you can do. And we are now match point 12-8, and if Droughts win this, they just win. There is no comeback for the Floods here. If the Floods can close the gap, then they might be able to take this and take us to a map 3.
Absolutely, but I mean, I will say, I think ever since that clutch, Devin's just turned it up because, I mean, last round he got another 3K and just did a fantastic job of holding. Like, they're doing a great job of attacking, and it seems like these picks right off the beginning of the round are hurting the Floods so much because Boof, I think, got, you know, picked like 3 times in a row into Hookah, so and Cozy's going to peek that long once again, and Boof's going to go so aggressive.
Rafa's going to be first blood this time, courtesy of none other than Ellie. Boof is going to be... Boof and Orthodox are also going to go down, and we are now in a 3v4 situation here as Cozy and Prior are also going to go down, and so now we are 3v2. The Droughts are going to go ahead and just flip that narrative right around and go up 1 instead of down 1. As Cruz is going to also take down Tabernakis, and now there's just a single Astra against 3 members of the enemy team yet again.
Just like that, it is the game.
They're going to take it.
And the Droughts continue to win and advance to their 2nd straight win for the week of the in their grand finals. And honestly, fantastic job to both teams. That was a fantastic games by them. And overall, it was a fun match to see. But overall, the Droughts just did a fantastic job of winning it.
I will say that this was an incredibly close matchup, and the one deciding factor between these games was the fact that the Droughts were able to adapt.
Yeah.
They adjusted their strategy. We saw this second game, the largest gap that we had seen. We thought these teams were going to go 2 to 3 being the maximum gap, and it was going to go into overtime and do all these crazy things, but it just ended up just going to the map 2 because the Droughts took a step back, reevaluated their plan, and everybody played the roles that they were meant to.
I agree, and want to be seen by expert college recruiters talk directly to esports industry insiders like pro athletes, team general managers, game producers? Then join the club. Esports Tower players get inside access to industry insight, and with our featured rumbles, recruiters are taking notice too. It's a great way to score exposure if you're looking to start your path to pro or land a collegiate scholarship. And honestly, after that, I mean, what do you think about player of the game here? I think, for me, I know, even though they didn't win, Tavernakis did a fantastic job with the Floods, top fragging both games. It was his last Esports tower, and I think he did a fantastic job going out on a high note. But overall, I think, you know, Boof and Ellie did a great job on the side of Droughts. I think they went back and forth. Boof had a fantastic game 2, whereas Ellie had a fantastic game 1, and did a great job game 2 as well, but I think Boof just kind of did that for me. So I think, for me, I would say either Tavernakis, or I could see it going to Ellie or Boof. What do you think about?
I gotta say, Tavernakis was uncontested the best ultimate user of both teams.
Yeah.
The Viper's Pit was just masterfully done every single time it happened, and it definitely helped Tavernakis that everybody walked into the Viper's Pit, but it was still placed well and very, very well executed. I almost want to give it to Devin just for that single solo clutch play, but I would overall say that Ellie, I would say that Tavernakis or Ellie is what we're going for here.
Absolutely. I think Ellie did a fantastic job of playing consistent. And it is going to be Pryor, actually. We're going to give Pryor the player of the game. He had a lot of utility. I think his Cypher did a great job on split, kind of, you know, trying to get things down, but they couldn't fully get it done. Although that game 2, his Sova did a great job. I mean, we saw a lot of great plays from Pryor.
And we knew going into it, we were excited to watch the Pryor Sova, and it definitely delivered. Those 2 shock arrow kills, that is why people decide to main Sova, and that is just absolutely masterfully done. And Pryor got all these amazing flanks, was just like where nobody expected him to be the whole game, and so was able to consistently pick up kills and eliminations because of that.
The player of the game is brought to you by Idaho Central Credit Union, who believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central's helping members achieve financial success. Pryor is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game, and overall, I think well deserved it. And, you know, before we kind of get out of this, I think, D'Angelo, what is your big takeaways for today?
My big takeaway is that it doesn't matter how evenly matched teams are. When teams are evenly matched like that, one of them has to change to win.
Yep.
That is what we saw tonight. When teams go against each other and like challenge each other that much, one of them has to change to come up on top, and I think the Droughts did that.
Absolutely. We had an exciting night of games to wrap up with the Week 2 Rumble. The Drought are back-to-back champs, but the Flood are very close to breaking through after a loss in a very close grand finals. Will anyone else be able to join the Drought and Flood at the top, or will they have another rematch next week? Next week Rumble will also be our first chance to take a look at Neon in the Esports Tower, and several teams are already excited to see how well she fits in their team. Don't forget to join us next Monday at 6 p.m. EST right here on the Boise State Twitch page, twitch.tv/Boise State for our Week 3 Rumble. We'll close out with the top 5 presented by the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. With more than 10 jobs offering $20K bonus and your degree of choice paid for, the Idaho National Guard is the best team out there. Thank you very much for watching and have a great night.
Some of the Viper smokes have already gone down as both teams are looking for each other here. Pryor's going to get that elimination onto Cruz, and that's first blood.
Yeah, it was a great job by Cruz, and they're going to go on Heaven here, and Devin gets 2 right there.
Spike down mid.
Cozy's going to get 2 down as well, and kind of holding this down where it's 2v3. Oh, wide open, and I think the Drought are actually be ready for this mid play here. They got people in different positions to kind of have crossfire. Yep, Boof's get 1 right away. Boof's get 3.
They had the right idea, and then they definitely lost it when they walked into Boof and getting that immediate triple kill. And now with the solo member of the Floods going against 3 members of the Drought, unable to do anything on their prey as carefully as they possibly can without going down anybody else.
Yeah, Ellie did get a cheeky kill in the corner there by just holding that corner, waiting for him to pass, and did get 1, which is still pretty good. And we're going to see Pebble get another pick onto Orthodox. So we're looking at a 4v2 here for the set of Floods.
Pryor looking for that, is able to find it. There's a couple. The Floods can't do this whole trade game that they've been doing all game, especially now that that Sage Res came out, because now we are 2-5, and the Viper ult is no longer on the table for them to try to use as a carry as that flash is going to come out, but Cruz is going to get eliminated on the sky, so is Orthodox, and that was a valiant effort. Very scary. They are gunning for Pebble hard here, and I mean, honestly, when somebody has 25 HP, that's exactly what you do.
Yep, and it seems like a hard take. This Cozy did a great job playing short. Gets 3 kills.
Oh my gosh. Cozy just go ahead and pop off there.
Ace
That was 4, and Boof got a couple.